Today we're going to talk about everything I watched in August. This was one of the best months for me in terms of movies that I was able to catch up with. And you'll want to hang around till the end because I have a hidden TV show that no one is talking about. It's literally hidden. You can only watch it on a browser that I want to share with you. But first, how do I watch so much content? How do I find so much content? Well, I have a secret weapon, and that is Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network. Not only do they encrypt all of your information online and protect your identity, they can unlock geo-block content. So if there is a movie on some platform that I would like to watch, but it's in a different country only, I can just flick a switch and I'm there. Also, your subscription is available on unlimited devices. So unlike those pesky subscriptions that block everything else out, you can use this across your phone, your laptop, on your smart TV, wherever. Surfshark also have a 30-day risk-free money-back guarantee. So if you try it out and you're not a fan, you can just ask for your money back. No questions. Unlock content now and download Surfshark. You can use the link in the description down below. And using the code word spooky, you'll get 83% off and 3 months extra for free. That's 83% off and 3 months extra for free. You honestly have nothing to lose, so try it out today. Now let's jump into everything I've watched. It's been a long month and I cannot believe the first movie I watched this month? Yeah, the first movie I watched this month was Loving Adults. This is a Danish film and it's on Netflix. It's based on a book, I believe, about a husband and wife who hate each other. Basically, one is having an affair and the other one starts blackmailing, and it's just like this weird cat and mouse game inside the house, and the dynamics are all off. It's very unbelievable, and I don't actually think it works as this adaptation. I just don't think that they adapted it. I don't know. It feels just really toxic, which obviously, but it doesn't feel like a slick, smart, smooth ride. It feels like there's a lot of plot holes along the way. I probably wouldn't recommend that one. I then watched Meg 2, which I did a video on if you do want to check it out. And then Sympathy for the Devil. I really wanted to like this movie, the new Nicolas Cage movie, where this random guy gets into a car with this man whose wife is about to deliver their baby. He hijacks the guy and makes him drive across state lines. Nicolas Cage as being Nicolas Cage, over the top. A really interesting history behind this film and the way it got made, because Nicolas Cage basically said he would take it on, but they changed a lot of the atmosphere. It was meant to be set in New York during winter, but it's a very hot and sweaty Las Vegas kind of feel. And Nicolas Cage, from what I read, really took the character and ran with it, deciding that he was going to have red hair in it, like spray painted basically red hair, and he was going to like dress a certain way. Honestly, it doesn't work that well. It's a very interesting ride that goes absolutely nowhere. I would recommend it. I'm very sad about it. After this, I watched Bastille Day. This is another Idris Elba, which is a running theme for me, I guess. This was not good. I did not like this film. I swear I'm getting to the good stuff. I was not really into this one, about a pickpocketer who somehow the CIA decides to team up with. It was just a little bit over the top. Also, the worst thing about it is Elba, they give him an American accent and it doesn't even make any sense really with the storyline, and I just think it's a travesty. He can't do the accent very well. He's a fantastic actor, but never make him be anything else but English, because he is so fantastic and people watch for his voice, and it made me very upset. After that, I swear I'm gonna get to the good stuff. I swear, guys. I watched Home Movie. This is a found footage horror movie that a lot of people talk about a lot on found footage forums, community posts and stuff like that. I'm in the weeds with all that stuff. I see all of these random things and this one always pops up. It's about kids and their father is a priest, but he's a cool priest, and he films everything from their lives, and their kids start to act evil. And it's like the downfall of that through home video. But it's very random and doesn't seem planned at all. It seems like something that someone shot as they were going. I just don't think it's a very good arc or story. It just seems like a collection of clips, which is basically what a home movie is. So I guess I can't fault it there, but I did not enjoy it. I then watched Paul Dud's Deadly Lunch Break. This I thought had a really cute and interesting start. Basically, it's about this guy who, have you ever watched a movie where like everything's going wrong that could go wrong? That's this dude, and he decided to kind of fight back. He wants to be like this famous kind of performer, and he does everything to get to this audition on time, but everything that could go wrong goes wrong, and then he kind of fights back and snaps. It's kind of like that story. It's a little bit disjointed. I thought that it had heart, but honestly, it's just a very strange film with how many characters are introduced and just all of the like detail into every event. It's not one of those, I thought it would be clever if it was more kind of straightforward and then really hunkered down on those points, but it really is, it just kind of goes all over the place. And I guess his character, the main character, it's never really called into question his toxicity during the whole thing, which is really interesting because I can understand like a falling down situation when someone just snaps, but this one is meant to be kind of funny. I guess you're just going along for the ride, but by the end I was kind of bored. I believe that one's on Shudder as well. I watched Some Velvet Morning, which is a movie I talked about. Very interesting movie. I don't even want to talk about like what it is, but it's got Stanley Tucci, and this, a lot of people were actually commented in my comment section after watching my video, saying that, because this was about disturbing films, saying that this was so disturbing and they can't believe I recommended it, which that's what those videos are for, guys. I'm not here fucking around. I'm not here to play around. Like, I try and get you guys the stuff that no one wants to talk about for a reason. But this film was recommended by one of my friends, Jackie, who's a patron, and she said, just watch this film. And it took me a while to find it. It's on Tubi in America. I use my VPN to watch it. It is a ride. It's a ride and a half, but it's a conversational based piece. And it really messes with you. And it was a really hard watch, but it was really worth it for a good payoff. So if you watch it and you want to give up halfway, do not. If you watch this film, you have to watch all the way to the end. Promise me that. And then come back and tell me what you thought. After this, I watched Kotuko. This was another film that I mentioned in the same video. This one was recommended by my friend Corey. This is another very challenging watch about a woman struggling with mental illness whose welfare of her baby is up for debate with her mental illness and not being able to take care of it. She has this disorder where she sees double of everybody, so she's never sure who the person really is, in the street, family member, whatever, and who if the double is that person. So she's not even sure who to react to, let alone she has visions and hallucinations of them attacking her and harming her. So she's never sure if that's the real or it's a lot. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. It's a journey movie where you follow her throughout different stages of this. And it's a gut-wrenching movie that honestly had me on the edge of my seat from start to finish. It was very much well worth the watch, and just amazing performance. After this, I watched Oppenheimer. I did a review for my patrons for this because they wanted it. I did Barbie for them before this, so I had to do the other side of it. It was fine, okay? I think I gave it like a 7 out of 10. It was fine. It was fine. I thought the cast was insane. Absolutely insane. I had no idea that was the cast. Like, it just kept coming. And then Drake and Josh are pressing the button. I thought that the performance of Murphy, he was great. I have a lot of questions in terms of the story and how it was constructed about this, but I get it. It's meant to be about Oppenheimer, not really the situations around it. It wasn't even, 4 months ago I was in Hiroshima. So it was just really interesting seeing it from this angle. But on top of that, I thought it was very Oscar baity, of course. It felt like a film reel at times. Like, it was very disjointed, which I guess I was meant to expect from a Christopher Nolan film, but it felt very disjointed for me. But the huge thing I had was it was really the technical aspects out of focus at some. I know this is going to be controversial, but this is really how I feel. Out of focus in some elements because they use such a short f-stop to make it look so amazing. Obviously, I know it's like shot on Kodak and everything, but and there's a lot of difficulties with that, and especially with lighting. I felt like a lot was hot. I say that as the clouds, the light goes in and out of my frame, but I'm not Christopher Nolan, okay? But I felt like there was a lot that was overexposed, and I honestly thought, oh my God, in the cinema, I'm like, oh my God, that is the point. Like, they're meant to be like mimicking the bomb and the reaction, but then it just wasn't consistent. Like, I actually thought maybe did he do that on purpose? I don't know if anyone else saw that. It was during the interview portion of the film, like the kangaroo court. There was a lot of like really overexposed lighting, and I have to believe that it was intentional. Anyway, it was fine. I don't think like it was 3 hours, probably could have gone for about 2.5, but other than that, it was fine. It was fine. Didn't hate it. I'm so sorry. I watched The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which I did a review on. I actually liked that a lot more than everyone else. I felt like a lot of people really did not like that film. But I thought that the monster, like the CGI and like the creature looked really cool in it. I guess I wasn't expecting as much as everybody else. Like, I knew it was going to be just a short stint. Like, it's literally about the voyage, like this one voyage. But I thought that they did really well with that. And I liked the lore of the vampire and how they talked about the vampire. I thought that was really cool. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't like the best thing ever. I just was really impressed with the CGI. I watched Shame. This was for the video I did on the disturbing movies. This is a fantastic movie. Very, very difficult watch, as I do, about a man and his sex addiction. And it is just, it's a slice of life of the dark side, really showing everything, all the details and all of the ramifications of this addiction, and an addiction that isn't talked about a lot. And when it is talked about, it's kind of made fun of or glamorized sometimes. I don't know if glamorized is the right word, but yeah, definitely said in a way that they don't really take into account all of, you know, the darkest elements of it. So I really enjoyed that. Amazing performance. And Michael Fassbender, yeah, he's fantastic in this, and highly recommend that if you haven't watched it and you're into disturbing drama. It is a drama, so it's quite slow. I watched Alps. This is a Yorgos film, which I hadn't seen yet. Had it on my to watch list for a long time, but I didn't love it, which I'm so sad about. It's a very confusing movie about a group of people who are providing an interesting service for those grieving. It's a movie that doesn't really well explain itself. It's one of his first films, I believe. I really love Yorgos. Like, he's one of my favorites. And this was just a very dry, which his films are dry, telling of this group's story. And I felt like it was so dry that I couldn't really get into it. And it took me forever to figure out what was going on. I didn't read the blurb before watching, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but maybe you should, because it is a little bit confusing what's happening. They really don't dumb it down, and maybe that's just me that needs that. But yeah, not my favorite Yorgos film. My favorite is probably Killing of a Sacred Deer, which isn't everyone's favorite, but I'm really excited to see his new film, Poor Things, that is coming out very shortly with Emma Stone in it. So, yes. Anyway, Alps. Has anyone else seen Alps? I've watched Past Lives. Now we get into the good stuff. I watched Past Lives. I saw the premiere here. Oh my god, this movie was just fantastic and so different to what I expected it's just stunning. Very personal portrayal about a woman from Korea who has her relationship back and forth with, like, they say childhood sweetheart, but I guess it is that. They're just someone she knew for a short stint of time, and then how their lives change and how they interact through different stages of their lives. I don't want to spoil anything, but it just was really unexpected the way it's presented, and I really enjoyed that. It was a very personal story, and it said a lot in the very quiet moments. It's a very, very slow drama that will hit you right in the feels, and it's just like, it's like a philosophical question as well, because it's talking about all the lives that you could have with somebody, and who you choose to actually spend your current one with, whatever you believe with, like, who do you expect. Yeah, it was a lot, and I just really loved the way they told this story. It wasn't like a harmful, over the top dramatic story. It was just at peace, but all the sadness in the stillness of the silence. And it was just beautiful. Just the way it's shot is so beautiful and understated, which is really rare. So I gave that, a 4.5. I absolutely love that movie. Highly recommend. I watched Blair Witch Project. This is because I played Blair Witch on my gaming channel. If you didn't know, I have a Twitch and I'm on there all the time. I play horror games twice a week, and then I also do movie naming games, like where we guess movies, horror movies. I play that it's Tuesday for me, so Monday for you guys. I'll put up a little time here. This is like what times roughly I'm on, but you can check it out. It's just Twitch Spooky Astronauts. I'll leave the link down below. It's always down below, in fact. And I also have, if you don't like Twitch, I have a gaming channel, just Spooky Astronauts Gaming, where I upload my full streams to. If you want to watch it there, that's totally up to you. But I wanted to just redo it because they said that it had something to do with the game. it doesn't. The game was so confusing, but I got through it anyway. But I wanted to watch the Blair Witch, both movies before that. So I watched Blair Witch Project. I think it was probably like a Friday or a Saturday. I watched it in bed with my dinner. I think I watch it like once a year, and I don't know why. It just never gets old for me. It's always so interesting, and I always pick up new stuff every time I watch it, especially from the start interviews. I know Blair Witch isn't for everyone. It definitely has lovers and haters, but I'm a big fan of Blair Witch. I then rewatched Ghost Stories. This is something I watched with my patrons. Something that I love this movie. It's an anthology, very dark anthology that's based on a play. It's the story of this man who's a skeptic who goes around and tries to disprove different stories about ghosts, ghost stories, tries to disprove encounters with the supernatural. And yeah, it's a very interesting, twisty ride. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend checking it out and watching it on a dark night because it can get quite scary. It's very somber, so get ready for that. I then rewatched the new Blair Witch. I remember watching this the first time, Adam Wingard, and thinking it was pretty good, but it was really interesting watching it back this time because there's not a lot that happens in this film. It kind of mimics the original film in a way. I mean, it does, but the structure of it where, it's just a lot of wandering. So I don't think it's as effective, obviously, as the original. I then watched Elevator Game, which I am so sorry. This was meant to come out for everyone this month in August, but they pushed it. After I had done my video, they pushed it to September. So this is coming out in September. I did a review of it. I also, in my review, I talked about the original Elevator Game, where the origin comes from, how they play it, all that good stuff. It is not great. I did not like it. I probably wouldn't recommend it. Although if you like kind of silly teen horror, you might like it. But the characters are really stiff, and it's like an after school special, but with some horror put into it, which sounds actually pretty good. But I did not like it. The dialogue's really awful. I watched Magic and Dead Silence. This is for Does This Offend You, which is a stream I do with Nightmare Maven. Magic is a beautiful, strange movie starring Anthony Hopkins, who is obsessed with his dummy that he speaks through as his performance. And God, look at how terrifying that picture is. It's a psychological kind of thriller horror about relationships and coping mechanisms, and I think it was fantastic. It was really interesting to discuss it as well with Vicky. I'll link our Does This Offend You video down below as well for this one. Yeah, there was a lot of cool discussion about it because it's such a layered movie, and because it's from the 70s, late 70s, it speaks about mental illness in such an interesting way, and yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. After that, of course, Dead Silence, which is James Wan. Love it. This movie is so funny. One day I really want to talk to James Wan and I really want to ask him about this movie. And it's kind of one of my top goals in horror because there's just so many questions. If you don't know about this, it's the Curse of Mary Shaw. It's a very 2000s horror movie about a doll turns up at his house and there's a tragedy. And from there, he needs to find out where this doll's from and its purpose. And it's linked back to his childhood home and area, and a law of the woman with the dolls. She has no children, only dolls. It's very campy and I love it. It's just silly. It's silly fun. I watched Bad Things, which this was a highly anticipated film for a lot of people on Shudder, about a group of people who go to this cabin, this lodge. I guess it's like a hotel lodge that one of them owns, and there everything just goes wrong and you're not sure if it's in someone's head. People say it's haunted, some people don't. It's a very messy film meant to be about relationships and people cheating on each other and giving in and not being yourself. It's so many themes blended into one, and I can kind of see what it's trying to do at some points. It's very Shining now I think about it because it's very much is this happening? Is it all in your head? Does this place just make people do bad things? And there's kind of a little bit of a tie-in, but it is a very messy story that gets complicated. I don't mind genre bending, obviously. I don't actually believe in pigeonholing films, but it's very confusing what tone it's trying to create, and it's not sustainable or consistent at all. And yeah, I was kind of let down by this one. I know a lot of you guys were as well. I saw a lot of comments about that. I watched The Devil and Father Amorth. Oh my God, I like fell into this wild rabbit hole, okay? And I did a video. Most of you have not seen this video. A lot of people did not click on it, which is totally fine. But I did this video, and I found a live stream with an exorcist priest talking about his reaction to the film, which I thought was mad. So after this, I went into a rabbit hole and I rewatched the Devil and Father Amorth, a documentary people hate because it has William Friedkin in it, and everyone thinks he's clutching to The Exorcist because he talks about The Exorcist, but that is why he's doing the movie. This documentary is like very propaganda, but I'm into it. Like I'm very interested by that stuff, and I didn't expect anything different from like a movie with this title. I honestly didn't. I think it's like a really interesting, it's almost like a Zach Baggins documentary, you know what I mean? But basically he's invited along to an exorcism done by the guy who the Pope's exorcist is based on, if that makes sense, which is Father Amorth. Don't want to spoil it, but the end of the documentary, like they basically show all this footage and then they claim all this other stuff happened, but off camera, which is just really interesting. And it has a very strange ending. A lot of people don't like it, but I think it's just basic storytelling to me. I find it enjoyable anyway. It's only an hour, I think, an hour and 4 minutes or something like that. And then, of course, I rewatched the Pope's exorcism because I was doing a video on it and I just wanted to get everything straight in my head with what I had learned. So yeah, if you do want to check out that video, yeah, I think it's interesting. It definitely opened up my eyes to some different stuff that was going on. But I watched this movie, Nefarious. The reason I watched this, I got some comments about why did you watch this? Because actually some of you guys like it. Everyone seems to not like this film, and I have to agree. I did not like it. Not much happens. But the reason I watched this is because when I went down this rabbit hole with this priest who was talking about how they hated the Pope's exorcist for certain reasons, they said that this is the best exorcism film from the perspective of an exorcist priest. This poster makes it look absolutely buck wild. It is not. It's basically about this man who's on death row and he claims to be possessed by devil. And this guy comes in and he needs to determine whether he is possessed or not, insanity, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it goes back and forth, but it's just drama. It's all drama. It's just one conversation. And there's some very interesting topics. I don't want to say too much. There's some very interesting topics that they land on. It's very much, believer, the true believer versus, the sin. Honestly, the movie that did this the best for me, not that I'm speaking as a priest exorcist, but I think that The Exorcism of Emily Rose, I'm not a religious person, and The Exorcism of Emily Rose does a really good job of portraying and talking about faith, but not being very it is very heavy-handed, don't get me wrong. There's a lot going on in that movie, but I feel like it does a really good job of doing that and expressing that through a believer's eyes and not pushing that whole narrative on the audience. This film is just a mess. It's absolutely a mess. I don't know what else to say. After that, I watched Sanctuary. We're getting to the good stuff, I swear. Sanctuary. I love this. I did a vlog for my patrons. I know I say that all the time. I'm just letting you guys know what's on the Patreon. It's only $2 a month and I do bonus videos every single week. That's probably why you hear me talk about it a lot. And these are videos as well that wouldn't exist unless I had the Patreon. So this is not content that I'm keeping from you guys. It's stuff I've added because I'm doing it to thank people who are giving me an extra tip. So Sanctuary is this fantastic movie starring Christopher Abbott and Margaret Qualley. I always feel like I pronounce her name wrong. This movie is about a dominatrix who plans to meet a man in a hotel room, but everything just spirals out of control really fast. It's about their relationship. It's a cat and mouse game inside one hotel, and it is just magnetic. The performances are out of this world. The script and the way it's all set up is fantastic. It is the twistiest, turniest story I've ever seen. That is a professional term. And I just absolutely adored this film. I could have watched it for like 6 hours. They were really able to capture the audience perception and play with that in terms of the film and the characters. And it's just a really exciting ride. It's more of like a drama thriller that is kind of like dark, like I guess black comedy, because it's got a kind of wickedness to it, and I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite films of the year, and I highly recommend it. It just came out to cinemas here in Australia, but it's been out for ages in America, so you should be able to watch it online, and if you can, do it now. Don't look up anything and thank me later. I then watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which just came out here. Loved it. See, I told you, I loved it. I gave it 9, I think. Absolutely loved it. I am a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. Michelangelo, yes, please, for me. Mikey. It was so cute, so funny, so quirky, offbeat, great music, great animation, just everything fun in a really short runtime. So I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was just fun from start to end. And Paul Rudd features in it, and his character I know his quirk's Turks and it's over the top quirky, but it's just so fun. I then watched Perfume, The Story of a Murderer. This is a film that I have been meaning to watch for years. I never got around to. Someone, again on my Patreon, my friend Rob, he recommended to watch it, and we did a group watch. This movie, it is a long movie. It's 2.5 hours, but it's a journey movie that is really worth it for the payoff. We follow this boy who was born against all odds, and survives, yet he has this particular knack for scent, and he has no real great human connection to the human soul, except for the feelings and the joy he gets from certain scents. He's in 18th century Paris and trying to survive as, you know, a peasant in that, with this particular talent, and he plays into it in the worst way possible, basically. The Story of a Murderer. But it's a fantastic movie, and the end really blew me away. I had no idea. No one spoiled it for me, thank God. And it just has one of these amazing, intense moments that you just don't see coming, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Highly recommend checking it out. Definitely, I keep thinking about it, honestly. Definitely worth your time. And then I watched Theatre Camp. I just went and saw this last night at the cinema. I liked it, but this is why I don't watch trailers, because I saw the trailer for this one just when I was watching another movie, and it definitely, I feel like all the good parts were in the trailer, all the parts that were, I guess, accessible for everyone who weren't theatre kids to understand were in the trailer. And then I wouldn't say I wouldn't understand a lot, but I just think it wasn't as funny for me because I couldn't relate. But it is a very cute kind of mockumentary comedy, which I'm so glad they did it in a mockumentary style. So it's like a documentary about this little theatre camp, and all of the different personalities there that are over the top and wanting the spotlight. And yeah, it's a very cute, very sharp, short and sharp. The way it's tied together, it's almost like a show reel, or like a huge montage of everything that happens. It's very quick, but I'm really glad they did it in a mockumentary style, because I think it just works a lot better than having a classic storyline. So it worked really good with the characters and really great performances. So if you're a theatre kid, definitely check that one out. I think it's well worth your time. Okay, we made it all the way to the TV shows. I do have one that I'll save to the end that is definitely worth a mention, because it's a very interesting production. But first, I watched Hijack, another Idris Elba. This is a Apple TV show, which I really believe could have been a movie. I think a movie would have worked better, about a hijack. And he is a kind of negotiator salesman, and he needs to really figure out all of the personalities on this plane and try and get it to work so that everyone can survive. I liked the show. It's very solid, very simple, but I don't know, if you like that kind of crime element that's really satisfying, I do recommend this one. I thought it was well worth the watch, but I think it would have been better formatted to a movie, but we just watched it all in a row. I watched Jury Duty. This I had heard a lot about. If you haven't heard about this is it's like a reality series documentary type show. It follows jury duty, I guess, event where one man doesn't realize that everyone else there are actors, and it's all filmed. Jury duty, obviously, we see it all the time in TV shows or movies, where it brings together the craziest, quirkiest characters, and that's the idea of what if you were surrounded by these quirky characters, but also with this insane trial, and you're in the middle of it. Would you do right? Would you do wrong? Don't want to spoil what happens, but it is very satisfying, and it does sound a little bit scary psychologically for this guy, but I promise it's not what you think. Like, it's very lighthearted. It was very interesting, and I don't think it can be mimicked. I don't think they can do it again. They probably could do it if it wasn't jury duty, but I don't know. The show became such a sensation. It's one of those like lightning in a bottle situations, and I thought it was fun and just, you know, shake up from everything else I've been watching lately. I watched Houdini. I did not know there was an Adrian Brody 2-part series, so it kind of is a movie, but it's a 2-part miniseries about Houdini. I love Houdini. I am a big Houdini fan, and I love Adrian Brody, and I did not know he played Houdini. It's just a drama, 2-piece, very straightforward, probably not even my demographic, probably like skews a little bit older, very like soapy kind of, you know, watching your stories, which nothing's wrong with that, but it's not a very heightened show by any means. It's just really going through the motions, but I enjoyed watching it. I just watched it kind of in the background while I was doing some chores, but it's very simple to follow and just a nice like rounded idea of what they think Houdini was like. I liked they included everything in there from start to end as well, so there's a lot to include, so I guess maybe that's why they did a 2-parter, but it's not like a very thrilling or well-produced movie. It's just kind of like the events of his life. And then of course, I promised you guys something that is not many people have heard about. This is called Command Z, or Command Z, whatever one you want to say. This is an online series only that you need to pay for online, but all of the proceeds go to charity. It's directed by and created by Steven Soderbergh. It's a science fiction comedy series about a group of people who are put together and are told that they can go back and change some stuff about history and the ramifications of that. It's a mini series, so each episode features a different aspect of Earth. The funny thing is they're coming back to 2023, so they're coming back here to fix things that haven't happened for us yet, to change the course of their history up to their date. So it's a really interesting, it's satire, it's ironic. Michael Cera plays a huge role in it. It's just a very offbeat, strange TV show that I haven't heard anyone talk about. I actually caught it from someone mentioning it online, and from there I couldn't believe I hadn't heard of it. It has a lot of really interesting guest stars and perspectives. I have to say, I wasn't really sure about like the way it went. So just keep in mind it is like satire comedy, which is usually my favorite, but it has a very strong start, and I don't think it keeps it consistent all the way through. I'm going to be completely honest, but because it was giving money to charity, and I really liked where the proceeds went, which is all information you can find online, I was still happy to have watched it by the end of the day. I think in the end it's only a runtime of a movie anyway, a feature length all up. The episodes go from, 10 minutes to 20 minutes, so it's a very easy watch, but just super experimental, and it was just really fun to watch something on my browser. I know that sounds really silly to some people, but it just reminds me of those days when you used to find those strange TV shows that were only available online, and everything's so accessible these days. It's really cool to get back to basics, and for this kind of like sci-fi feature, it was like really funny to see it and interact with it that way. I watched so much cool stuff this month, but if you're looking for any more horror recommendations, why not check out this video? This is the best horror movies I've seen this year so far. If you're looking to play catch up, definitely get this list under your belt, because buckle up, it's about to become an even more intense ride. Coming up next will be my What's Coming to VOD video, and I'll see you guys there. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.